you doing, guys? It's Joe Vizio. I'm out on my Sunday doing my work thing and doing a little bit of wellness in the process. So, I guess the past few videos that I've done, I was kind of touching on my sister a little bit, that relationship that we have had in the past and what our present relationship is. And I don't think I've talked too much about my grandmother, just little bits here and there. Couple little stories, but I'll go ahead and get into that. My grandmother, the mother of my father, she's I don't know much about her upbringing. I know that her parents, from what I know, her parents are the ones that came off of the boat from Italy. So it's not too many generations that my family is here. But her mother and father died way before I was born. As a matter of fact, they died, I think, when my father was still a child. I never got to meet them, nor did I ever really get to hear much of the history of them. You know, it's really my family history. I know my father's mother come off of the boat from Italy. I know my mother's grandparents came off of the boat from Europe somewhere. I think like British, but there's nobody knows anything, and those who say that they do know has different stories from the others. So I guess at this point I could kind of make up my own family history if I wanted to. You know, get on one of them genealogy sites and try and find stuff, but I don't even know anybody's names or anything like that. So, you know, my grandmother, she grew up a tough old bird, man. She's, you know, from what I remember of my grandmother, she was definitely not the milk and cookies type of grandmother. She had two children, my father, and she had a daughter, which is my aunt. It's like a half-sister of my father. There was a significant age difference between them, like 15 years or something like that, give or take. So, you know, when I was a child, you know, my aunt she wasn't even an adult yet. My grandmother was, best I can describe, an alcoholic. My grandmother was an alcoholic. The man that she was married to, that I best knew as a grandfather, although he wasn't, he was an alcoholic, Frank. He's passed, I want to say probably 83-ish. He passed from cirrhosis of the liver. But, you know, my grandmother and her husband, it was really pretty common for them to booze it up and beat the shit out of each other. So we're talking about, trailer trash that wasn't really in a trailer. They definitely favored my sister, both my grandmother and my aunt. As I said, my sister is the golden child. She was the firstborn. She wasn't born under any kind of suspicious circumstance like I was. And I was a hyperactive little boy. First you have my sister, who everybody just fawned all over and gave all the attention, and then you got this hyperactive little boy that's just kind of getting into everything. I guess you can say, which kid do you want to hang out with? So I never really had that close relationship with anybody. I was just there. And I think I've explained this before in a previous video. My grandmother was very physical with me. My grandmother was a face grabber. She was one that, if you didn't listen to her, and she wanted to get your attention, she would just grab you by just dig them nails into you, grab you by your throat, and, she always had those. And these ain't no nails that these girls go down to the salon and have their nails did. No, these were all natural. She just couldn't dig them, you little bastard. That's what she used to do. I don't have very many good memories of my grandmother. Good memories would be like, being able to get up before my sister got up, and my grandmother would make me pancakes. I always thought that my grandmother made the best spaghetti and meatballs. But other than that, there was really no special bond, nothing. Like my grandmother would wake up and go in and wake my sister up, and they would be out the door early in the morning and would hit the McDonald's for the breakfast, or they would end up at one of the malls, like the Plymouth Meeting Mall or the Cherry Hill Mall up in Jersey. I kind of always got left out of that. I remember around Christmas, she would take both me and my sister and make sure that we had our picture taken with Santa Claus. That's why, she can have something to show off. But, it is what it is. I don't know if I don't remember if I explained this in one of my other videos. As, when I came back to Florida from Kentucky, this was around in 2006, beginning 2007. No, maybe it was 2007. Anyway, my grandmother's living with my father. And, I get to spend a little bit of time with my grandmother. And just to talk to her, I never brought up anything from the past, because my family is the type of people, when you bring something like that up, they're either going to tell you that they don't remember that and you're crazy, or pshaw, that's water under the bridge. Why do you live in the past? So, with my grandmother, I didn't bring any of this stuff up. It was just different to talk to her, because, her whole she wasn't the same person. You know, she was really, and still is, kind of losing her memory a little bit. She's kind of a broke down woman anymore. You know, she lost all of her freedom. She lives with my father. My father, you know, sold her trailer, and you know, she had it wasn't a trailer. It was a mobile home in a nice 55 plus park. One of them highfalutin trailer parks. But you know, she had a pretty nice place, and you know, my father sold it, and you know, I would say kept all the money for himself. But you know, when she moved in with him, you know, she kind of, in her own way, because poor her now, it's her going through this, she kind of knows how he is. So she would tell me things like, you know, she always makes sure that she puts some of her money in for food because she doesn't want to hear anybody tell her that they have to pay for her. You know, she keeps to herself in her own room because she doesn't want to disturb anybody. I mean, yeah, Granny, it's kind of how me and your golden granddaughter kind of grew up, but I mean, it's happening to you now, so now it's of significance. But like I said, I never really said anything or called her on it. Just listened. And one of the big concerning things was, you know, when she was telling me that how she'd like to kill herself because she just feels like she just isn't living anymore. And as much as I should have been like, you know, Grandma, yeah, that's the only way out. Here, let me go get a gun. You know, I did. I kind of sympathized with her. I did feel sorry for her. So I never really brought anything up to her. I never wanted to open up that can of worms. I figure she's suffering enough now anyway. And I do feel bad, because I know what it's like. You know, it's one of those things I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. But her daughter, my aunt, is absolutely nothing but a vapid piece of shit, drunky lush. She thinks her shit don't stink. That's, you know, she took right after her father, man, from the time she gets up to the time she goes to bed. That's what she does. I've never really had much of a relationship with her other than she's just there. And I'm sure she looked at me the same way, that I'm just there. I did one time, you know, when I first started doing the Facebook, and I was kind of into, you know, gathering up them family members on there and trying to find all the kids I hung out with in school and all that. I did send her a friend request, and, you know, after a couple weeks, you know, I mean, I noticed she's on my sister's and talking, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute. You know, my aunt don't want to be my friend? Oh, well, fuck me. But, you know, I asked my sister about it, and of course my sister was like, oh, well, that fucking bitch, I wonder what her problem is. And my sister called her on it. And she had the audacity to say that my Facebook page had questionable content on it. And I'm just like, wait a minute. The woman who has taught her 11-year-old son how to mix the fucking perfect martini is telling me my Facebook has questionable content. If that's not the pot calling the kettle black, I don't know what is, man. So I just never, fine, fuck you. I remember one time we were at my sister's first wedding. And my sister's first husband, he was, I think I explained this before, he wasn't all the way there. He was kind of some mild retardation. And this is why my sister married him, because he was someone very, very easy to control. So we were at my sister's first wedding, and my aunt was there. And you could tell that my aunt was, feeling a little comfortable. And it just come out that, I just want to say, if you have any kids that are listening to this, kind of send them away. I know I cuss, so, you should kind of take me with a PG-13 at least rating, but, if I'm going to talk about drugs or something, you might want to get the kids away. I'll wait. Okay. It was known, I had a bag of reefer on me. And my aunt was just, not only was she a boozer, she was like Iron Lungs McGurk when it came to the smoking too. So this is one time where she was just like my best friend. And, we all kind of exited stage left out into the parking lot to partake. And as my aunt is feeling more and more comfortable, she starts quote unquote complimenting me. Oh, Joey, you're such a handsome guy. All you need to learn how to do is just stand up straight. You're so handsome. All you need is a haircut. If you got a haircut, you would be so handsome. Oh my God, I hope this woman just sucks the joint down her throat and it burns that little thing in the back and she can't talk anymore. I was the one time where my aunt was nice to me. But anyway, I'll end the drug thing, I can't say that I have the cleanest content, but, I guess I gotta be more conscious, because I too am a father of a small child, and my child doesn't hear any of this stuff, so I don't want yours to hear it either. So, it's my grandmother and my aunt. You'll probably hear me mention them a few times because they were always there. From the time that we moved into this one house in Philadelphia, up into Feltonville, all in the area, they moved in with us. And, it was always my father's mother's house that we would go to for the Italian dinners and visits and stuff like that. It didn't have anything to do with my mom's family. And there's reasons for that. But, just on a side note, that house, the one in Feltonville that everybody was living in, for the longest time, that house was just like my connection to a home. In my whole life, that house represented home. And I've had so many dreams about that house. Now, mind you, it was only like a 5-year period that we lived there. But for some reason, in my mind, that is home. So when I'm having a dream and I'm dreaming about a home, that was the house that I was in, or everything that surrounded me. I don't know if any of you go through the same thing, but, and it's weird because there's a lot of different places that I've lived in that have, I guess, more of a significance than that house, but that one there is the only one that I go back to. But, yeah, we all lived in that house there together, and so my aunt and my grandmother are kind of like mainstays of the family in my mind. And real quick, to shift gears over to my sister. Listen, my sister follows the narcissistic footsteps. You know, my father is the only one that didn't give my sister any special treatment. Not until she became older, like 13, 14 years old, and his girlfriend threatened him, you know, you don't hit that girl anymore or I'm out of here. And then he stopped hitting her, so that was her special treatment. But I have to give my father credit because he treated both me and my sister equally like pieces of shit. Everybody else, you know, just kind of fawned and flopped over my sister. But my sister picked up those narcissistic traits, which is common to happen. Unless you recognize it and you stop it, it happens to you. You can easily pick that up because that's what you're taught. You know, I believe that my young adult relationships were sabotaged by narcissism because the man that taught me how to be a man was a narcissist. So this is what I learned. So, I mean, I remember times with girlfriends just kind of commanding them to do stuff like I have any kind of clout. And if you're one of those people that might be listening or you know them, please pass on. I'm sorry. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. But back to my sister, she really picked up those traits. She was a good manipulator when we were kids. And I know I got into some of those stories. There's many more to come. But just, you know, a quick story. My sister in her apartment, you know, she's been living in this place for like 12 years. My sister had some kind of a problem that involved maintenance coming into her house. And my sister has, the last I counted, like 4 cats. I think she may have another one through other sources, but I won't quote that because I don't know for sure. But I do know for sure that there was 4 cats. And a good cat housekeeping rule is, you know, to try and have 1 litter box per cat. My sister has 4 litter boxes, all of them crammed like side by side next to each other in her laundry room, which just so happens to be where this poor maintenance guy needed to go to fix whatever he needed, like the electrical boxes in there. I don't know what he was doing, but he had to go in that room. My sister knew he had to go in that room. And rather than move those litter boxes out of this man's way so we can go in there and do her job, her attitude was like, this ain't mine. This is your apartment. This is your problem. You need to get in there. I ain't inconveniencing myself. You need to get in there and you just need to do it because I ain't moving these boxes. And as the maintenance guy was trying to get into this room, he lost his footing. He stepped on one of the boxes and he broke it. And sure as shit, my sister is down in that office, pounding her fist on that desk. You're going to replace this. This is unacceptable. I don't like this. You better not be coming and do this. And my litter box and you come on. So, holy fuck. I mean, are you serious? Are you serious? You're doing this? She was serious. And, you know, and they gave her $6 to buy a new litter box. And, you know, I mean, I hope that maintenance guy didn't get in any trouble or anything. I don't think they did. I think that they could, you know, see through my sister's shit. But that's what we're dealing with, man. That is what... Prime example. It's probably one of the best examples of how she is. I was always afraid that my sister was going to end up shot because of the road rage. And it's a little different than just driving and calling somebody an asshole or give them the bird or something. Like my sister will pull right up next to somebody, roll down the window. Hey, you, this is for you. I mean, just bad. And, you know, we're kind of in a bad place for that. I mean, I don't know if you see your news and you always hear some shit about a Florida man or a Florida woman. People are crazy in Florida. And I know, you know, I mean, up in Philly and up in New York and all that, you know, people ain't, you know, but in Florida, Florida has a mixture of everybody. Your worst from New York, from Philly, from Chicago, from the Kentucky's and everything. That's all a mixture in Florida. So you have all those attitudes together. The sun is just cooking people's brains, and people are crazy here. So when you see on your news, I'm talking about Florida man just tried to rob a convenience store with a dead bird. Yes, that happens in Florida, man. People ain't stable down here. So, and it scared me. I didn't want my sister to get shot because somebody cut her off. But when you cut my sister off, I mean, that is personal. Me? I mean, I can get by. Like, hey, yo, what the fuck, man? It's part of my French. My sister? No. She's got to get in front of you, recut you off, winded down, finger out the window, up in the air, screaming, spit flying out of her mouth. And it really, I did not want my sister to get shot over that. But, you know, I mean, she's, I guess, a big girl, man. She's doing her own thing. So, I'm at my first place. This is Sunday. I got 7 of these to do. So I'll probably crank out a few videos, and if, you know, I mean, anybody is really watching, you know, I do hope you, you know, catch on with my humor. You know, I have to say, I am feeling a hell of a lot better since I've been doing this. To get this stuff out and to just talk about it and turn myself back into a human being, this is just phenomenal. And thank you, Ollie Matthews, and anybody else out there that is doing a blog and getting your story. I mean, this is just, I'm really, really, really glad that I found you. And, you know, I joined another site, the Narcissistic Abuse for Men. You know, which is a lot, seems like a lot better for me. You know, I mean, I joined a Survivors of Narcissistic Abuse, which seems to be more geared towards, you know, women having problems with their boyfriends and their husbands. And, you know, a narc is a narc. I hope everybody takes everything serious and you know, get what you need taken care of. So, enjoy yourselves.